Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, I do videos on creepy and disturbing things. Today we are diving into a brand new iceberg, the disturbing Wikipedia page, Iceberg. I don't know why I make the choices in life that I do, because I was looking down this iceberg on the lower tiers and I'm not looking forward to researching some of these. Anyway, for those of you that are hardcore fans of my iceberg series, yes, I am still going to finish the Strange Deaths iceberg. I'm just spreading it out a little bit because I already did a tier this month. And so we have one more tier on that one, and I will be doing it most likely in January to finish that one up. But we're just starting this one along as well because these are like my favorite videos to make. They're really fun to make, but also I usually regret it at some point. So yeah. So for those of you that don't know what an iceberg is or an iceberg chart, I know that you know what an iceberg is, but an iceberg chart is something very popular on the internet, especially on Reddit, where people make an iceberg with a specific topic. So the iceberg starts at the most surface level above the water stuff, which is the more well-known stuff, the most common stuff, and generally in the darker icebergs, less disturbing stuff. And then as you go down the iceberg tier by tier, things get more and more obscure. And in this case, more and more upsetting. So let me tell you right now to go with discretion on these. I will warn you of any like major triggers before I go into a specific topic. In case people want to skip it, there's always timestamps down below if you want to skip around. That being said, today's video does have a sponsor, so I'm going to roll to that and we will get right into it. A portion of today's video is kindly sponsored by Casetify. Casetify is the world's most popular tech accessory brand known for their protective phone cases and global collaborations. Casetify sent me these beautiful impact cases. If you get a Casetify case, you get a case that is 65% recycled, and also Casetify has recycled 51,000 cases so far. These impact cases can withstand up to 109 drops, which is 4 times the military standard, and with the new EcoShock impact absorption technology, the impact case can withstand drops from up to 8.2 feet, which I'm going to show you right now. I was super nervous for this as I drop my phone all the time and it's a very old phone. So the few cracks that you see on the front is before I dropped it with the Casetify case. I promise those have been there for years with the glass screen cover, but I put the Casetify case on to do the drop test. They absolutely came through for me. I dropped it from over my head and my phone was just fine. For those of you that want extreme protection, Casetify offers special bounce cases too. They are powered by EcoShock impact absorption technology that are 6 times military standards with a 21-foot drop protection. These cases have over 2,000 designs and there are customization options as well. Casetify also partners with artists for their designs and they support lots of artist communities that are diverse and global. Go to casetify.com/HannahTheHorrible today and get 15% off your order. Link will be right at the top of the description right under this video. Okay, first on our tier, this one's pretty lighthearted, but also just weird. This one is the Hitler game. And this isn't actually a Wikipedia page itself, which is kind of funny because it's the very first one on the list of disturbing Wikipedia pages. But the Hitler game is actually a sort of game that you play via Wikipedia. The game goes like this. You first go to wikipedia.org and of course select your language. Then on the left side links, you click random article. You click on links within the random article that you were served and basically see how many clicks through Wikipedia it takes you to get to Adolf Hitler's Wikipedia page. You cannot use the find feature on your browser to help you out. The point of this game is to get to that page with as few clicks as possible. It's sort of creepy how pretty much everything on Wikipedia leads back to Hitler's page eventually. For example, I tried this out myself. It only took me a few pages. So I got the random article Monster Energy, the energy drink. Within Monster Energy, I clicked on Monster. From there, I went to post-World War II or aftermath of World War II. And there I went to World War II. And of course, it was very easy to find him from that page. Now, that is pretty weird, I will admit, but I bet you that any other common historical figure you could probably apply this to as well. People just picked the most horrible historical figure in order to make the game more creepy. But chick culling. Huge warning to skip this one if you're sensitive to animal stuff. Just trust me on it. There's timestamps down below or at the bar below this video. You should be able to skip just in case you don't want to see this one. It's not so much animal stuff that humans are doing for the hell of it. It's part of the meat industry, if that makes any difference to you, but still. And yes, these are also hard for me to read about, but if it's part of the meat industry, for me, I'm kind of like, well, since I eat meat, I kind of should know about what I'm eating. That's kind of my take on it, so I powered through this one. This Wikipedia page is about the killing of around 7 billion newborn male chicks around the world because of the fact that they don't lay eggs. The different methods in which they kill these chicks in mass quantities very quickly is extremely upsetting. I don't recommend looking at the details of this page. However, if it's any consolation, all the methods are very, very quick and as ethical as possible. There is actually a silver lining to this though that I read about that I didn't know about. So this would hopefully make some people feel a little bit better. We are trying to abolish this practice altogether around the world because we are finding methods to determine the sex of an egg before it's born. So a male egg with technology will be able to see that it's a male, at least when it's at a much earlier stage of development, so it's not a living, breathing, walking around thing yet. So they can dispose of those eggs before they even hatch. Now, this is definitely not widely practiced yet, but I do believe that we're kind of going in that direction for both ethical reasons, and of course, it's more cost effective for the companies anyway, so of course there's that. John Zegrus, aka the mystery man of Torrid. There was this very famous internet urban legend going around, which I believe went viral because of a Facebook post. The story was that there was this man named John Zegrus who was actually from an alternate dimension as he arrived in a Japanese airport in 1954 with a passport that said he was from a non-existent country called Torrid. After being held by authorities in a hotel room and was kept in that room that was surrounded by security, he somehow vanished. The story goes there was no windows and it was a high floor room, so there's no way he went out the window. Very creepy story. However, it was proven to be mostly false, as most viral Facebook posts are. This urban legend did actually develop from a real story. There was a white man who arrived at a Japanese airport in 1959 with his Korean wife. He was arrested at the airport when it was found that he was carrying around a fake passport. This passport did allegedly actually say that he was from a country, Torrid, that did not exist. He would be arrested soon on suspicion of identity fraud and cashing bad checks. Now, it is speculated that Torrid is actually a real place called Tuareg, misspelled, as Tuareg is a real group of people with their own language from the province of Tamanrasset in Algeria. Now, as part of the real story, this man was sentenced to 1 year in prison and had tried to unalive himself after that, but did not succeed. After being released, he was deported to Hong Kong and his wife was deported back to South Korea. TLDR, a fraudster went to Japan with a country that doesn't exist listed on his passport, but the story became a very untrue, mystical urban legend after a game of internet telephone. Poe Toaster. I love this one. This is so weirdly exactly what it sounds like. You know who Edgar Allan Poe is, right? He's like one of the most prolific poets of our time. Well, he has the marking of his original grave still in Baltimore, Maryland. For about 75 years, every year on Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, which is January 19th, a man would arrive at this original gravesite. He would be dressed in all black. He would be wearing a white scarf and a very wide-brimmed hat. He would arrive after midnight, but in the very, very early hours, so it was still dark. He would pour himself a bottle of cognac, raise a toast to Poe, and then just vanish shortly afterwards. He would always leave the rest of the bottle of cognac and 3 roses arranged in a very specific little arrangement. Each rose, we believe, represented Edgar Allan Poe himself, his wife, and his mother-in-law, which were all originally laid to rest at this site. Now, this almost sounds fake, but this is 1000% a real thing that actually happened for 75 years. Every single year, a group of people always waits at the site to try to catch this man in action. He was very good at hiding his face though, and he was rarely ever photographed. According to eyewitnesses, this tradition started in around the 1930s, and this same man came every single year until 1998. However, on that year, the man who always did it would pass away. The next year in 1999, somebody still came to carry on the tradition. They left a note saying that it was one of the old man who passed away, a son. Now, in 2006, the spectators waiting around did actually try to detain the Poe Toaster themselves. However, other than that 1 year with that incident, everybody pretty much leaves this man alone. Nobody really puts any real effort into trying to identify them, and they don't interfere with the tradition for the most part. However, 2009 was the last time that the toaster would come. It's believed that they finally retired the tradition for Poe's 200th birthday. The Maryland Historical Society revamped the tradition in 2016, but more as an ode to the old tradition. The person is no longer anonymous, and it's like a public celebration now. Here is the one photo of the toaster that we do have, reportedly a real photo that was taken for Life magazine in the year 1990. Euthanasia Coaster. Brace yourself for this one. Some trigger warning for unaliving. This is a hypothetical roller coaster that somebody actually designed. The intent of the roller coaster is literally to unalive you. It was developed by a Lithuanian artist, I cannot say his name for the life of me, who was also an amusement park employee. He came up with this concept in 2010 and even has designs drawn up and a scale model made of the ride. The point of the ride is literally to unalive, but in the most fun way possible. I'm just gonna read the design right from the wiki page because I cannot describe it. The concept design of the layout begins with a steep angled lift that takes riders up 500 meters, which is about 1,600 feet to the top, a climb that takes a few minutes to reach. For comparison, the tallest roller coaster is the King de Ka at 139 meters, 456 feet. Now, I did see videos on this that there is actually a button at the very top. Again, in the hypothetical design, there would be a button at the very top for if you wanted to proceed. So if you got to that point, you could cancel the whole thing and change your mind right before it happens, which I do think is for whatever this is, that is kind of a good fail-safe added. From there, a 500-meter drop would take the train to 360 kilometers per hour, which is 220 miles per hour, close to its terminal velocity before flattening out and speeding into the first of its 7 slightly clothoid inversions. Each inversion would have a smaller diameter than the one before in order to maintain the lethal 10G to passengers while the train loses speed. After a sharp right-hand turn, the train would enter a straight where unloading of corpses and loading of new passengers could take place. AKA, the ride is designed to end your life with a combination of lack of oxygen and very high G-force. However, this guy, as far as we know, is not actually a scientist or a physicist. He's like an artist and worked in an amusement park. So there is speculation from quite a few real experts that this wouldn't actually work, and it very likely wouldn't actually kill the average person. Regardless, it's a very creepy concept, but it is interesting to think about it as just an art piece in terms of better ways to go out if you were, say, super terminally ill or something like that. Basically just alternative ways to go with dignity and euphoria at the same time. So, I don't know. It's very strange. Black-eyed children. This is a pretty well-known urban legend by this point. I know a lot of spooky creators were making videos on it a few years back when it was going more viral. But regardless, the urban legend is creepy, even if there's no evidence that it's true. These are supposedly children, usually around 6 to 16 years old. They have reportedly very pale skin and pitch black eyes. They aren't actually human, but some otherworldly creature impersonating humans. Signs of them claim that they're usually begging, hitchhiking, or knocking on your door. The legend most likely originated with Texas reporter Brian Bethel, who reported that he encountered black-eyed children in Albany, Texas in 1996 and claimed to know another person who had a very similar but separate experience with the black-eyed children in Portland, Oregon. You can find tons of videos on these and alleged sightings and people claiming that they have seen them in real life. However, like I said, there is absolutely no evidence that they ever actually existed, and there's no proof other than the photoshopped images that go around the internet. It is creepy nonetheless, but creepy children are almost always creepy. So, cute aggression, aka playful aggression. This is a Wikipedia page about the phenomenon of people showing aggressive behaviors upon seeing something very, very cute. I didn't know that what I have had a name. It's basically when you see a baby animal or a human baby, something you think is very cute, and it's just so stinking cute that you have this strange urge to bite or squeeze it. You often end up like gritting your teeth or clenching your fists because you just can't handle the cuteness. Basically, it's a way to regulate our emotions. We basically can't contain the happiness we feel when we see, say, an adorable puppy, and the desire to just pinch and squeeze it comes as a result of this uncontainable happiness. Doesn't mean that we actually bite or pinch them though, we usually don't. But it is why there's that cliche of grandmas pinching their grandchildren's cheeks. That one is so funny to me and very like the least disturbing on this whole iceberg, but I did not know a Wikipedia page existed about it. Hallucinogen persisting perception disorder, also called HPPD for short. This is an extremely rare but very scary disorder that some people develop. Sometimes people who have done drugs in the past, like even months or years ago, will end up with hallucinations and visual distortions from that drug that's triggered by that drug, even though they did it a long time ago. This is particularly frightening because you'll learn that this is not just hard drugs. You would think it would just be like the white powdery stuff or LSD, other psychedelic kind of drugs, right? Wrong. This can also sometimes occur with people who have done THC, antibiotics, SSRIs, I think there's more, and which is like, wow, I am either on or have done all of those. So you might experience visual snow, which is like the white or black flecks in your vision's scope. Objects may look comically bigger than they actually are, or comically smaller than they actually are. Think Alice in Wonderland. You may just see very intense colors. Something called trails and after images, which is like when you're staring at something too long or at a light too long and it continues in your vision after you stop looking at it, and more stuff like that. Those are kind of the basic symptoms. So you're probably thinking that you have experienced a lot of those things, like the visual snow or the after images part especially, I think is very common, but it doesn't actually mean that you have HPPD. People with HPPD specifically tend to have these symptoms, but they are more severe and they actually interfere with their life. I mean, according to the Wikipedia page, FYI, I am by no means an expert. Blue whale challenge. So unfortunately, I'm not going to go into much detail on this one because I made a whole video on it a while ago. And not only did YouTube age restrict it, but after they age restrict it, nobody ever saw it again. Like once YouTube age restricts you, your video disappears, they yeet you off the planet. But if you ever go to this page, just know that it's heavily around S-word, aka unaliving yourself. I got really frustrated that they age restricted that video because it's not like I was glorifying anything. In fact, I was just dispelling rumors about it and trying to stop the spread of misinformation because people were spreading rumors about this challenge like crazy and making it into something that it wasn't. So seems to be a pattern with YouTube. Love you, YouTube. Not bad talking you at all. So I will explain what this is very, very vaguely. You can go watch my video. You can probably still find it. I think it's public, even though it's age restricted. But there was this rumor going around a few years ago that teenagers were playing this game that involved requiring them to SH and then eventually S wording. There were rumors of real cases of S-word and this being connected to the game. However, no case has actually been confirmed to be a result of this game, hence why it really is an urban legend. This man. Many of you who have been on the internet for more than a few seconds will recognize this one. It was a pretty famous internet mystery back in the day. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie, and I'll go over for you right now in case you need a refresher. The story goes that in New York in 2006, a psychiatrist sketched a face of a man who had started showing up in her dreams. The man knew intimate details of her life, and she soon discovered that several of her patients claimed to have seen the same man in their own dreams. The image spread around the world, and a website called thisman.org was made within a couple years of this first event. The person who runs this website's name is Andrea Nutella. As this photo spread throughout the world, just like crazy, thousands of people would come forward and claim that they had seen this exact same man in their dreams. Most of these people, thousands of them, not being connected to each other. There were several theories for whatever was going on. This man was an archetypal image, aka a subconscious pattern or image that all people see, and people had this man in their subconscious, but he would come out in dreams during difficult times. The second theory was that this man was some sort of manifestation of God, allowing us to see him. The third theory was that some big corporation was secretly conditioning us to dream of this same man, assumedly through subliminal messaging of some sort. 4, some people were dreaming about the man because they saw the sketch of him and just learned about others seeing him, and so therefore it crept into their dreams. Or 5, because dreams are hard to remember, people were mistaking the drawing of this man for someone else recurring in their dreams. After fooling a lot of people though, this whole thing turned out to be a hoax or a marketing stunt. Andrea Nutella, the one who runs thisman.org, was actually a sociologist and a marketer. He runs a guerrilla marketing company. Guerrilla marketing is a kind of marketing that specializes in marketing stunts and subversive hoaxes. It's fake/joke campaigns. Examples I found are like Deadpool having a Tinder profile, this giant popsicle mess as an ad for Bounty, or this fun giant picture of a dog scratching itself, but from a distance it's on the floor, and from a distance it looks like the humans walking over it are flies, and it's of course an ad for Frontline. Now this man was definitely that type of marketing. However, we don't really know what Andrea and his team were marketing it for. I think it was just a publicity stunt for Andrea's art in general. I don't know that there was any product in particular. I think it was just kind of a fun hoax/prank that went really viral. 2019 mass invasion of Russian polar bears. This was when there was a massive invasion of polar bears in a very northern part of Russia near the Arctic Ocean in February 2019. Authorities in the area would declare a state of emergency on February 16th, 2019. Dozens of polar bears had been reported trying to enter homes, buildings, and other areas where people were living. They were simply looking for food. A lot of them were seen going through the garbage. It got to the point where people did not want to leave their homes or even send their kids to school, because as you know, polar bears can be quite aggressive. In fact, polar bears are hands down the most dangerous bear in the world to humans. Black bears and grizzly bears rarely attack humans and are generally uninterested and not aggressive towards humans unless they're provoked, startled, or very starving. They would prefer if you just left them alone, and if you do, the vast majority of them are going to leave you alone. Polar bears, on the other hand, are just known to be far more confident and generally more aggressive. Polar bears are also going to be generally bigger, and most of their diet is meat, whereas other bears, black bears and grizzly bears, most of their diet is actually berries and plants. And polar bears also don't hibernate, so they're hunting year-round. So yeah, this was absolutely terrifying for everybody in the area. Surprise, the reason for this event was also because of climate change. The ice, as we know, is melting, and it makes for less food resources for the polar bears. A primary source for polar bears are seals. Sad. Polybius. I'm sure most of you again have heard of this one, but here's a fun reminder / easy summary. Polybius is a fun urban legend, but as far as we know, the game again never actually existed. It was reportedly an arcade game from 1981. The urban legend goes that the government was conducting this psychology experiment on unknowing participants. And this particular arcade game apparently popped up in Portland, Oregon. People who played the game would experience weird symptoms. One symptom was just the extremely addictive nature of the game. Apparently, people would line up behind the game and there would always be a line behind it while the arcade was open. People would get in fights over who got to play next. And then Men in Black would occasionally come by to collect data from the Polybius arcade game, to collect data on the symptoms that people were experiencing. Players also reportedly experienced hallucinations, amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and even seizures. It was said that it was only up for about 1 month before it completely disappeared. Again, I can't stress, there's no evidence that this game actually ever existed. It's just a very, very interesting, cool, creepypasta-like story. The next tier is a lot bigger, but the last on this tier is Wikipedia deleted articles with freaky titles. This is also not particularly disturbing, but it's very funny and very entertaining to go through. This is literally a graveyard on Wikipedia for deleted articles, basically. A lot of them have very strange titles, but were once posing as real articles. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of them. I highly recommend going to this page just to read through some of them, but I will read you one off from each letter of the alphabet just to give you an idea. A lot of them sound like Cards Against Humanity cards. Okay, Aqua Hoochie, Bring Your Pez Dispenser to Work Day, Cow Cuddling, Dying with Your Pants Off, Eucalyptus Goth, Frog Urine, Grandfather's Brother Paradox, How to Eat a Scorpion While It Is Mating, Looking for My Cup of Caring and Found It Was Empty, Jesus and the Fetus Omelets, Kaput Clown Theater, Lunker Hands, Michelle Obama's Arms, Nut Powder with an exclamation mark, October 33rd, Pass Out After Drinking Caffeine Syndrome, QWERTY, which is like the keyboard thing, you know, is a Bob, Rectal Anarchy, Snowman, The Sound of Knees, United States Senate Special Committee on Bondage, Vampire Potato, Witch Prohibition Act, Zegony of Queen of Air, only one in the X category though, so I had to include that one. Y is You Can Save the World in Sweatpants, and Z is Zoom Floof. This was a redirect to the Cheetah page, which is just amazing. All right, guys, that is tier 1 of the Disturbing Wikipedia's Iceberg. So the next tier is like gonna be twice as long as this one. It's probably gonna be at least twice as long as this video is now. So I hope you can look forward to that, especially because like some that we're gonna dive into are something called Belma's Faces, List of Incidents at Walt Disney World, Demon Core, Miracle Village, whatever that is, something called Forbidden Wiki. So I'm excited to keep going with this and also a little nervous, but we'll see what's in store for us. If you guys wouldn't mind just liking the video, that is a very easy thing to help the channel out quite a bit. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to check out Casetify below, and thank you to all of our patrons. Special shout out to top tiers Colin Holmes, The Deck of Cards, Michelle Valdovinos, Tom L, JJ, Little Kittle Cat, Mitchell Schaefer-Meyer, Mike, Ellis Paul, Dark-Sided Otter, Brittany Phillips, Willow Winchester, Bambi, Momo Neon, Philip J, Marita 144, Sage K, Literally Lacey, Elderly Hipster, Veronica C, Reese Rolls, Leon James, The Puppy Hag, Rebecca Jackson, Headless Fancy, Toby, Carter, Kawakon Anime and Gaming Convention, and Sonder.